VitalHoops is for the culture.
Peace, 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 peace. Welcome to the VitalHoopsPodcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB. I am your host. This is episode number 37, part 3 of our 3-part series celebrating 50 years of hip hop. This is Pan-Afrikanism and Hip Hop. We are now in the month of August, celebrating the culture, and also it is Black August, so let us not forget. But listen, I'm very excited today because our guest is another super dope Emcees. We've had a lot of dope Emcees here on the Vital Hoops podcast. Make sure you go back and check it out. Even before this 3-part series, we've had some dope Emcees. But anyway, our guest today is from Oklahoma. He's a high school teacher and a hip-hop educator and a very dope Pan-Afrikanist MC. I'm talking about the great Marcel P. Black. Marcel P. Black. Peace, my brother. Welcome to the Vital Hoops podcast.
Peace, peace. How you doing, good brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's really dope to have you on the show, man. I see you've been on the road a lot lately. Talk to me a little bit about that, man. How's that been going?
I've been going well, man. I dropped the project More Culture on June the 2nd, and I immediately went on the road. You know, I'm teaching school now, so I can't tour like I used to tour pre-pandemic or what have you. But, you know, anytime I get some breaks, some summer breaks, some weekend breaks, some whatever, you know, whenever the kids are out of school, I try to do a couple of different things. But I just took advantage of, you know, earlier summer, I started up in Kansas. Then I did a week in New England between Maine and New Hampshire. I did a week in the South as well. And then, you know, for the last pretty much most of July, I've mostly just been to Oklahoma. I'm going to Virginia for a weekend next month or what have you. And, you know, man, just trying to, working the project, just taking the old fashioned direct to consumer route. You know, like a lot of people rely on streams or whatever, but, you know, I'm looking at the streams and looking at the analytics and seeing what my fan base is. And like my mentor, Cesar Comanche, said, he said, you can live where you live, but you need to go rap where your fans are. And so, you know, I'm a little old school. I believe in, you know what I'm saying, pulling up with the T-shirts and the CDs and the merchandise and just maintaining those connections. You know what I'm saying? And toured very well this summer. It was very, you know, it was everything that I could have wanted it to be.
No doubt. I hear you, man. And yo, your project, More Culture, is amazing, man. I got that. We're gonna get into that a little bit later, man. But I wanted to tell you one thing, man. I see you also dropped another project named For the Culture, right?
Right.
And that was 2019, right?
Yep.
Yo, listen to this, man. Me and my crew, our album in 2019 was named For the Culture. Same thing.
Wow.
We dropped that. We dropped that in Cuba in 2019, man. For the Culture. Same thing. We called it in English and everything. For the Culture. So that was pretty dope.
I gotta check that, man. Yeah, I feel like so More Culture is like the sequel to For the Culture for me.
Right.
Like so I'm a career conscious hip hop artist. I'm a backpacker. And so with For the Culture, I just wanted to make like a backpack project, not necessarily kind of, I just wanted to rap. You know what I'm saying? When I came back with More Culture, I wanted to keep that same underground boom bap aesthetic, but like put the blackness back into it. So hence you got More spelled how it's spelled. So yeah, it's crazy we got that connection like that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. It's crazy. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. For now, let's go back, man. Let's go back a little bit in your life, man. Let's go back in your life, man. Talk to me a little bit about, you know, how it was for you growing up, and especially, you know, how hip hop came into your life and how Pan-Afrikanism came into your life, brother.
Man, so I grew up in a small town called Ardmore, Oklahoma. It's 100 miles north of Dallas, 100 miles south of Oklahoma City. Population 30,000 people. Black population 13%. Right. So I grew up in a rural town. Only child. My father was a juvenile probation officer, and my mother was a social worker, or what have you. Grew up in the church. You know what I'm saying? Black church. If you listen to my music, like you can tell the influences, right? Grew up in the black church, singing and playing instruments, things of that nature. My father was a gospel musician. And so, like, you know, church things and, you know, country boy stuff and sports was everything. You know what I mean? as far as hip hop goes, man, I had some older cousins that are like 7 to 10 years older than me, and they live way, 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 way out in the sticks. But my cousin Mickey was to this day, you know, he's probably, if I'm 39, he's probably looking at 40 now. 50 now. I'm sorry. Die hard hip hop head, and I would go out to his house, and you know, I would go into his room and look at his records and his tapes. And one particular day, I picked up the album cover for Walking with the Panther, and I'm like, that's Mickey, because my cousin used to dress, and he used to look like LL. He used to wear the Adidas tracksuits and the Kangos, just like LL. And he was muscular and everything, right? I'm like 5 or 6 years old. Like, this is 1989. And so I'm like, that's Mickey. Like, no, that's LL Cool J. I'm like, that's LL. Who was LL Cool J? He's a rapper. Like, what's rap? And so they spent probably about a whole summer teaching me the words to I'm Bad when I'm like 5 or 6 years old, like the summer of '89, right before I started like first grade or whatever. And so it's, you know what I'm saying? So one of my first memories of music outside of like Jackson 5 and gospel music was learning how to rap. You know what I'm saying? I'm Bad. And after that, like I would go out to the country, and my cousins, man, they was b-boys. I mean, like literally, like think about the most rural thing you could possibly think about, right? But they out there breakdancing, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In the pastures almost, you know what I'm saying? And like real hip hop heads. So like, you know, like I didn't have like in my hometown, we didn't have like a black radio station. So like I'm just living to watch BET or UMTV Raps or Rap City. And like, you know, whatever music that my cousin was listening to, that's how I got into it, or what have you. So that's where I really started loving hip hop. As far as like Pan-Afrikanism, you know, when I was probably about maybe 14, 15 years old, you know, just like us young brothers do, we start smelling ourselves a little bit. I've always been a big guy, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm already 6'2", 240 pounds, you know what I'm saying? When I'm 14, 15 years old, kind of feeling myself. I got kind of tiptoeing. I'm leaving the church and going out to the turf a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And my older cousin was a 5%er. He was a freshman at OSU, and he kind of seen what was going on coming home from the breaks. He was just like, "Yeah, I see where this is going." He said, "So look, man, I want you to listen to these albums." Because at the time, I'm talking about like I'm listening to like Rockefeller and Cash Money, No Limit, Rough Riders, and you know that type of rap was popular. And then like you know, then you got Little John and stuff like that coming as well. So I'm enjoying it. All the West Coast stuff, Crips and Bloods tapes. But he was like, I want you to listen to these artists. And so he gave me like, you know, Black Star and Dead Prayers and The Roots and Common and Kweli and Mos, and, you know, even gave me like Brand Newbie and put me on some KRS-One. Word. But what got me specifically with Pan-Afrikanism was Dead Prayers Let's Get Free. Like, I remember, like, I'll never forget this. I was sitting in my room. I had my headphones on, playing NBA 2K. You know, it was NBA 2K with Allen Iverson on the cover or whatever on my Dreamcast, and I'm listening, and I hear, you know, the first song is "I'm an African," right? Yeah. And then it's Wolves, and then it's "I'm an African." I'm like, wait a minute, it's different. And then, but the song hit me, track number 3, Day Schools. Wow. And like, that out of all songs on the album, that was the hardest shit I'd ever heard in my life. No doubt. You making a hardcore record criticizing the school system, and I was like, wait, and like, you know, I'm listening to like a lot of music, shoot 'em up, bang bang, Crip blood, selling drugs, but I got scared. Like, out of all the bad music I listened to, I was afraid that my parents was gonna hear somebody talking bad about the white man's school system and get in trouble, right? And so I was like, wait a minute, like, this is different. And so just going through the album, and then I think it's I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember which song it was, but when Sticks say, we come together, we organize like ants in the colony, turn the community to a socialist economy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know. And so like, that was the first time I heard the term socialism. Yeah. Right. And so what happened was, so I'm listening to all this conscious hip hop, and my cousin is giving me books. He's giving me articles, and he's giving me like old school cassette tapes to listen to of these lecturers and these speeches and things of that nature. And so that was the first time I came, like, and it was crucial because, like, you know, like, you kind of in the street, the first thing you do is you start judging the person who look like you, who the skin color is the same, but he might be wearing a different color. No doubt. Right. And so like, for the first time, I'm thinking, you know, I'm hearing like why this is, of course, above the other reasons why it's bad, but like, why is it bad? Why what you're doing might be a detriment to your community, and what you could be doing with these people to lift us out of the situation, right? And so, so it was like neither one of my parents were political, you know what I'm saying? But it was hip hop that kind of gave me the first taste of like, pro-blackness, outside of like listening, like like Malcolm X, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But like as far as from an art form, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of gave me that level of consciousness, and that was very, very digestible without having to read a 500-page book. So I can listen to an album for 45 minutes and like get a lot out of it. And it made me more curious to go do more research. And ultimately, man, that album is part of the reason why, I kind of do what I do today as an artist, as an educator, politically, everything.
Man, that makes two of us, my brother. Same thing, man. I was heavily influenced by Let's Get Free, man. I think the track you was talking about is probably either We Want Freedom or Police State, maybe Police State. I don't remember, but yeah, definitely that whole album is so dope, man. And when I heard it, same thing, man. Day Schools, man. When I saw Day Schools, and at the time that shit used to be on TV. They would play that shit like on video. They would play the video. I remember they would probably censor a couple words, but I remember, man, as a young boy, you know what I mean, seeing that video, and I was like, oh shit, this is what I want to do, man. This that shit right here.
His first line was, I went to school with some
redneck crackers.
Around the same time, Third Base dropped the Cactus album. Like, wait, like the first thing he said.
And I was reading Malcolm. he was going in. That shit is crazy. And then, yeah, no doubt, man. Me too. But like I said, you say you're 39. I'm 38, man. So we about right there, man.
Same age.
No doubt.
Yeah, right.
No doubt, man. So same thing here. Same here, man. I was rocking to all that, Rockefeller, No Limit, all of that back in my day when I was a young boy. I remember when I first started listening. At the beginning, I remember my brother used to live in New York. I was growing up in Havana in Cuba, and then he would bring back like Big Pun, you know what I'm saying, shit like that, and I was just rocking to all that. But once I started listening to Dead Prez, same thing. Then I went back to KRS and Brand Nubian, and then I went all the way back to like X Clan, and all these things. I was like, yo, this is my lane, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. So like I said, like, I feel like let's go back to hip hop, man. Hip hop as a culture, man. I always like to say, hip hop is African culture, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it was made in the diaspora, you know what I'm saying, but by African people. So, it goes back to African culture. And when we really start looking deeply into, what made hip hop a culture, we're going to most of the mentors who were either like 5%ers, Rastafari also. A lot of the Rastafari culture, came into that. We got to then go into when they started building the Zulu Nation and all these things. You know what I'm saying? So without a doubt, I feel like, there's that connection there from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? How would you link the two? How would you say Pan-Afrikanism and hip hop are a part of, the movement is?
Well, because it's a continuation of what came to this part of the world on the Middle Passage, right? Like the griot, the storytelling, the Emcees. You know what I'm saying? The dances. You watch the dances, like all the break dances, the popping, the locking. Our ancestors was doing that before they was on the boats, and after on the boat, and they was doing it, and wherever the boats let off. You know what I'm saying? Wherever they put us off the boats at. We can say that graffiti is just modern day hieroglyphics.
No doubt. Right? No doubt.
We can say, it just, we African people invented the drum. So of course we're going to be able to take a turntable and turn it into an instrument. You know what I'm saying? We've been had swag. We've been speaking in the coded language. We've been had fashion. We've been, you know what I'm saying? This is who we are. So one thing about hip hop. So like, I think so. A lot of times, as a Southerner, as a Black Southerner, right? I like showing the continuation of hip hop that comes from the art and the tongue of the enslaved during the peculiar institution of chattel slavery. One of the first and only right Africans had to use on the plantation was singing in the fields. No doubt. And our ancestors used that ability to turn a song like Wade in the Water, what a white man thought it was a gospel song, into a runaway slave song, right? And so like the usage of this coded language that we speak to each other to communicate or to simply express ourselves, right? Hip hop is a continuation. You got like you got your enslaved hymns, you got your gospel music, you got blues, you got rock, you got country, you got jazz, right? And like all these different things have their own culture, they have their own language, and hip hop is just the largest manifestation of it, for better or for worse, because it's absolutely been colonized, and they're using it as a weapon against us, right? You know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's that, you know what I'm saying? So like for me, like I love how you can see all of the different, I guess you could say, you can see the diaspora in hip hop the way it's created. As a Southerner, I appreciate the domestic part of it when we're talking about the influence of the church. So like I said, you hear the 5%, you hear the Islam in it, you hear the Rastafari, you hear like, you know what I'm saying, but you also hear, you know what I'm saying, the other part of diaspora, it might not be accepted to everybody, but stuff that comes straight from the plantation. So the live instrumentation when you get down south, the vocal draws, it sounds like a Baptist preacher. You know what I'm saying? The language, the spirituality in it. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was agnostic, Scarface brought me back to God. You know what I'm saying? Because he sounded like a preacher. He ended up being a Muslim later, but at that point he did what he's supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing, and it's connected, and like we don't even know it. Like I love being a Southerner because I understand that like when I'm rapping, I say "screek" as opposed to saying "street" with an ST sound. I understand that I might come from a tribe where one of those tribes where there was no ST sound.
That's it.
Yeah. It's an SC sound, and so it comes out in the way I rap. You know what I'm saying? Or the draw. You know what I'm saying? Like so, like I love that connection to the motherland in that capacity, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, man. Same thing like in Spanish. Like we, I'm Afro-Cuban, and in Cuba, they say we rarely pronounce the letter S at the end of words. That's the way we speak. You know what I'm saying? Even though we speak Spanish, a colonized language, but the way we talk is like, we don't pronounce S's too much towards the end of words. And all of that comes to the same thing you're saying. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it's coming back from, the tongues our ancestors were speaking and all that, man. So, it's interesting to say that. But to get back to hip hop, man, I feel like today, unfortunately, like we talk culture, but a lot of people today have forgotten about the culture, you know what I'm saying? And when they talk hip hop, really what they're talking about is rap music. You know what I'm saying? Like people mention hip hop, but really they're just talking about commercial rap. That's what they're talking about. So people will be like, yeah, this is a hip hop podcast. And they just gonna talk like rap sales and bullshit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that has also hurt us as a people, because like you said, they have taken over and it has become like all commercialized and people are disconnected from the culture, which means like I've even met like graffiti artists who don't understand their connection to hip hop culture. Like they'll do graffiti, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? They won't be connected to hip hop. They'll just be like, yeah, I just do this art, this graffiti art. But they won't really put, but they won't put that together with the whole culture. You know what I'm saying? So, and same thing in the music. A lot of rappers won't be connected to hip hop culture. They won't really know what the culture is about, or they won't live the culture. They'll just be, I just rap. I just do this. This is my way of getting it back. You know what I'm saying? So you being a teacher, I know you're also a teacher, right? A high school teacher and all that. How do you see that affecting the youth in general? Because the youth is still influenced by what's going on in hip hop. But, I feel like the culture has to be, right? The culture has to be for the people. A culture has to move people forward. So when I see a lot of negative traits that are quote unquote part of the culture, I call that's usually subcultures. I'm saying it's things that come from the Western culture more so. So, but how do you see all this that I'm talking about affecting the youth? I know you deal a lot with the youth, through whether through teaching or even engaging with the youth throughout, your work as a Pan-Africanist. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So it's a lot to say that, man. I think so I do my part, but I think like when we were young, we looked up to cats 5 to 10 years older than us, and they taught us the game, right? But I think like they grew up when the culture was pure, and they really wanted to teach us the culture because they thought it was something worth passing down from a cultural standpoint. I think our generation grew up where we saw people getting money.
Yeah.
And so we got caught up in like the paper chase of it and the quality left. And I think our generation, us people born, you know what I'm saying, us older millennials, right?
Yeah.
Us folk born
like late '80s.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Well, I'm like early '80s, like
even early '80s.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. I was born in
yeah,
'85.
So okay, cool. I feel like we didn't do a good enough job of teaching the people under us because we saw Hov get $1 billion. We saw them niggas get money, and so I feel like we got distracted, and so we taught them how to get money. We didn't teach them the culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't pass the culture along. And so what happens is when people our age see people younger than us get money, we're too afraid to be like, but there's no culture in it because they're getting money.
Right.
So for me, I'm a Jig. I consider myself a protector of the culture, right?
Word up.
Like, and so like I'm turning 40 in less than 2 months, and so like for me, I can tour for as long as I want to tour, right? I've gotten to that age as a touring artist to where it doesn't matter how old I am, as long as I'm dope. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I stay dope, I can do what I'm doing for as long as I want to, right? But I also understand as an educator, as a hip hop educator, as a history teacher, as an MC who's like, I'm 39, but I'm hungry like I'm 19. I understand that it's important for me to get down and talk to these young cats and teach them the culture. I'm not gonna, if you want to rap about, I'm not even tripping up your content. I'm not even tripping up your style. But I want you to, I feel like when a young artist has a love and appreciation for the culture and the history, you move different. Like for me, right? Like, and when I can't speak, I don't know what was going on in Cuba and France, but when I was there was no equivalent to the Black Panther Party when I was coming up at age 15. It took me reading about these guys that was in the 60s that informed the way I move now, right? And so for me, I feel the same way as an educator, just as a leader in the community. I feel like when it comes to hip hop, like boom, there might not. So if I can get a 15-year-old, like when I was teaching this hip hop, I was teaching at a summer camp teaching kids how to rap like last week, and one day we were talking about live performances, and I showed them Black Star performing at Teen Summit, and I showed LL Cool J, DMX, Method Man, and Redman performing 4, 3, 2, 1 at the Apollo Theater. And what I was telling them, I was like, look, I'm not asking y'all to rap like them, but I want you to see the quality in what they're doing. I want to see how hard they work, how they're moving around. Nobody's rapping over vocals, how much energy, how much fun they're having. If you can apply the same work ethic, right, into what you're doing as a rapper, whatever you do will be 10 times better. And so naturally, when you start understanding the culture and the positive aspects of the culture, it automatically kind of cancels out some of the negative, right? So I think that people my age, they're too afraid of looking like the old uncle, and so they want to be too cool with the kids. But I mean, like they say, like no successful community or society is ran by the least educated, the least accomplished, and the least knowledgeable, right? So us as older cats, we have to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to making sure that we're passing along the culture and doing it with love, not chastising nobody, And then another thing too, I think a big problem is, Fernando, is I think, and so when we talk about the culture and the other elements, I think people my age and older, we have abandoned underground hip hop. It goes from the classics in the 90s to whatever the kids are doing with the mumble rap. Like there's not fucking millions of incredible artists.
Dope artists right now, real dope artists like yourself, man, who are dropping, new music and dope shit out there. There's a lot in the underground, man.
In real time.
Yeah.
And so it hurts me, Fernando, like I make music for gang members. I make music for niggas in the hood, in the struggle, trying to explain to them why the situation is, what we can do. But they don't want to hear that shit. Right? Like when I rap, unfortunately, I rap for mostly white folks.
I know what you're saying.
Like when I go to the DMCs, these DJing competitions, I see brown, I see Asian, I see Latino, right? I see when I go to these breakdancing competitions and battles, I rarely see black folks. When I go to the writers is white, the writers is Puerto Rican, right? Like these cultures, and that's because we create the culture. The white man take that shit, he fuck it up, and sell it back to us. And we so caught up in this capitalistic system that we think black power is black visibility. We go towards the perverted version of our culture, while the white folks is the one that's really like doing the cultural shit. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's the reason why I titled it More Culture and spelled it like that, because hip hop is a Pan-African culture. It's our shit. Now I ain't said it's a part of it. Anybody who respects it and understands it as a black art form, as a black Pan-African art form, is cool with me, as long as you're respecting it, right? But let's not get it fucked up. Because what's gonna happen is, like, mainstream commercial hip hop has been took by rich white folks who are white supremacists, right? But right now, as far as underground hip hop, liberal white folks got that shit. Liberal white folks got that shit. And so what's gonna happen is, so we just gotta pray to the ancestors that they don't turn on their asses, because we don't even control that shit. Black folks don't even control underground hip hop.
Word.
We don't. Like, we don't. And so luckily, you know what I'm saying, you know, they grew up listening to Dead Prez too.
Yeah.
Cause you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, if liberal white folks decide they're not fucking with niggas no more, then it's over for underground hip hop. Because we don't own the shit like we should. And so for me, it's like, so that's why I'm always pushing like Black Milk. You know, I love that Nas drop, but shit, Black Milk dropped too. Sky Zoo dropped too. Fucking you know, Killer Mike was one of my mentors. Even with, you know, I don't agree with a lot of his politics right now, and I've said it publicly several times, but his album is incredible. But Superstition dropped too, right? Like, it's still and then, like, I'm not even talking about like artists like myself aren't on that level, but we still tour nationally and do incredible shit, right? And so like, black folks, man, we got to get back. We got to get back to underground hip hop, and we got to talk to the kids, meet them as they teenagers, and teach them the culture.
Yeah, no doubt. I hear you, man. I think one of the things we got to get back to and understanding is that, you know, a lot of times today, the youth measures, you know, how dope people are by how much money they got. And that's why they don't necessarily pay attention to the underground, because they're like, these dudes ain't really relevant. They ain't got no followers. They ain't got no bread. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, we got to get back to understanding that, you know, how much money you got don't really say much about you. It don't say how dope you are. It don't say what kind of a person you are. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to get back to listening, going digging in the crates. We don't do that no more. We don't go looking for dope artists.
So look, young people don't know shit. So, and they don't know shit because we don't teach them, right? But I have just as much as, or not an even bigger gripe with older cats who, like, you know, I get it. Like, we from an era to where we heard balance on the radio 20 years ago. You know, we had UMTV Raps, MTV. Hell, we had 106 & Park, right?
Word,
like,
yeah.
There
Rap
was
City. We had Rap City, man.
We had all that shit, right? But what I'm trying, so like a lot of like, for instance, right? Like, when I'm talking to my students last week, I'm asking them what's their favorite album. Most of them can't tell you because they're in the era of streaming where it's all about singles and playlists, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So like, so they're on the condition. They're not even, their brains ain't even built to listen to an hour of music at a time, right? Yeah. So our era, you know what I'm saying, we're used to getting our music from radio, buying albums, or watching videos, right? And like, since those things aren't really a thing anymore, the only thing they hear is what the kids do, right? But you know this, man. Like, it's easier to listen to whatever the fuck you want to listen to than ever. You ain't got to go to the store no more. Your phone. You know what I'm saying?
One click, boom, you got whatever the fuck you want.
One click, right? But it's the same. It's the same. It's a different version of, you know, Stokely saying black power is not black visibility, right? So so I hear older cats be like, I'm like, yo, the Nas album is dope, but this Sky Zoo album is better. Well, don't nobody know Sky Zoo. You sound like the fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you a hip hop head. It shouldn't matter if they know him or not. Can you listen to this album and discern if this is dope or not?
Yeah.
Like, like, we shouldn't, like, I love that Nas is still making albums, right? But we shouldn't need, like, if we did our part, we wouldn't need 50-year-old rappers to save us every 5 years. If we did our part, every 5 years, there's another Kendrick. Like, Kendrick is damn near 40 now, right? Like, what are we doing to cultivate the Kendrick that's in his teens right now? You know what I'm saying? So like, so they're out there, but we just, you know what I'm saying? So like, old heads, if you listen to people my age and older, man, we gotta support the underground hip hop. We got to, cause that's like, the underground hip hop is the last frontier left. After underground hip hop is gone, it's a wrap. Hip hop is gonna be all K-pop if we don't do some shit about it.
No doubt. On the real, man. So listen, so for all the listeners, down here in the description, you're gonna see the link to my brother Marcel P. Black. You know what I'm saying? New project, and you better go cop that on the real, because I got it and it's really dope. But listen, let's go back to Pan-Africanism real quick, man, because I want to talk about the importance of Pan-Africanism today. You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk to people who are not necessarily informed on Pan-Africanism, a lot of times they think it's a thing of the past or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, today we're seeing groups pop up, you know what I'm saying, in the States, like, for example, groups like the FBA, you know what I'm saying, Foundational Black Americans. You know, a lot of people where I'm at, whether it's France, Cuba, everywhere, starting to really focus on individualism, you know what I'm saying? This Western culture that's pushed up on us, and thinking that our problems are so individualized, you know what I'm saying? And that we can get free by ourselves and all this shit, you know what I'm saying? So talk to me a little bit about understanding and the importance of Pan-Africanism today, man.
We are connected, you know. I mean, to be a Pan-African is to want to have a United States of Africa under scientific socialism. It's so we have to understand that capitalism will never free us. It will never save us, and it actually is the reason why we are in the situation we are now.
Right.
So when you have ADOS, when you have FBA, when you have people who think that us getting money from white folks is going to save us, it's just a capitalist trick turned on our heads, and it works against us. When you have people like, you know, I love Jay-Z, but this might sound crazy, but you know, and this, of course, this is capitalism as well. But I would much rather Jay-Z rap about selling crack than rap about black capitalism as our only hope. People are buying into that shit. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
one of my biggest critiques of, and he's been my favorite rapper, and he's let me down a lot of times in interviews, but I love his album. I'm not gonna lie to you, Killer Mike. You know what I'm saying? You know, he calls himself a Pan-African gangster rapper, but he's also a staunch capitalist who is going further and further right politically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then you have cats like Umar Johnson, who totally like like I get offended when I say I'm a Pan-African. People like brother Umar. Man, fuck Umar. Like, I love to make fun of Umar. It's fun. He should be a comedian, right? But like, what's being touted as, like, you know, when Diddy is trying to buy Disney, he was like, help me buy Disney so I can save the black race. When he's trying to get these sponsor ads, now he's using Stokely Carmichael soundbite. And so, like, the misrepresentation of what radical politics is, what revolution really is, what Pan-African is a problem.
Yeah,
it's a problem. And you know, and so yeah, I just think it's been over 100 years now to where, you know, post World War II, when, you know, the West decided to demonize anything that wasn't capitalism, right? And so every formation, every revolutionary faction and leader that came out of you know what I'm saying, has been anti-capitalist. And so the fight to, you know what I'm saying, keep black and brown, you know what I'm saying, people and you know what I'm saying, yellow people, whatever people, to organize, you know, from communism to socialism is an ongoing fight, you know. And like I said, within capitalism is the individualism. And so we don't understand that, like, Cuba will never be free till Haiti's free. You know what I'm saying? America will never be free till Haiti's free. So, you know, Colombia, which, you know, had, you know, all these places within the diaspora that have millions of more African people than America per capita. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if they free, like, what's going on in the streets of France? You know what I'm saying? With the young brother getting killed in the revolution going on out there, we connected to that as well, because we going through the same shit with these crackers over here.
Police murdering Africans, man. It happens around the globe, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all connected.
Without a doubt, man. I agree, man. 100%, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, no doubt. You know, this we could go on forever about this, but I think it's important for our people to understand that our struggles, like you say, are really all connected, man. And as African people, we live very similar things throughout the diaspora and on the continent as well. You know what I'm saying? And on the continent as well, man. The oppression sometimes on the continent and in certain islands it looks visibly as if it's, you know, black on black, because sometimes police is black, you know, the authorities might be black, but they're really working for white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but that's what it is, man. Our struggle is connected, and Pan-Africanism is where we need to We need to educate ourselves on this. No doubt, man. But listen, before you go, I know we don't have much time left, but I would love to get into, stop rapping over your vocals, man. Let's get into that a little bit, man. I've been seeing you. I've been having a good laugh, man. Checking you out on IG, talking about stop rapping over your vocals, man. And the funniest thing to me is that as an MC, I've seen a lot of that as well, man. Performing, even in Cuba, wherever I've been performing, I've seen certain brothers rapping over vocals, and me and my crew kind of being like, "Yo, you can't do that, man. Come on." But that's not MC shit, man. But so July, right? July is Stop Rapping Over Your Vocals month, and
yeah. So July is International Stop Rapping Over Vocals month, and today, I know this is coming out later. I'm sorry if I messed it up.
No doubt.
But today is July 25th, y'all. I'm sorry. And July 25th is International Stop Rapping Over Vocals today.
Day,
so
okay.
I'm gonna do my address later on this evening. But more importantly, I say it jokingly, but we do two things on the day, right? On the actual day, we lift up and celebrate all Emcees who put on incredible performances with our vocals. And then it's also a day of altar call. So if you wanna pledge on this day for all my over vocal rappers, if you want to pledge on this day, come down to the altar and promise and give your life over to the culture and promise that you never ever ever rap over vocals again. Today is the day to come do it. What is, like I said, like they say, the preacher say, while the blood runs warm in your body. Today come to the altar, But so people ask me why July 25th, right? So 5 years ago I was on tour. I was in Cincinnati, and I can't remember what happened. I don't really. Well, I know what it was. I had done a whole bunch of shows, like from California to the Midwest or whatever. And everywhere I went, everybody was coming up to me talking about, "Hey, you're the guy who's always talking about stop rapping over vocals." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." I was living in Louisiana at the time, right? Yeah. And so I was in Cincinnati, and I just started making a whole bunch of posts about like jokes, like I was serious, but I was making a lot of jokes, top over vocal rappers, and my Facebook went crazy. And so that was July 2018.
Okay.
So the next year, 2019, I had a sponsor. I had a tour sponsor, and I was like, you know what? Since I went on this big rant about rapping over vocals in July 2018, I'm going to make July the International Stop Rapping Over Vocals month, and on July 25th is going to be the day, right, the birthday of it. And so I went on a campaign, I went on a tour, a sponsored tour. I did like 16 shows in like 10 weeks in like 13 different states, right? I was moving. So I became known, like I am the, people were saying stop rapping over vocals well before me, but I coined the phrase real MCs don't rap over vocals. I coined that phrase. And so like I became known for that everywhere I went, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because I'm a career conscious hip hop artist, and like the rapping over vocals thing, I'm more known for that. And I'm cool because for me, like I said, it goes back to the cultural aspect of it, right? For me, like growing up in the church, the son of a gospel musician, God bless my father's soul, like some of the best music, you know what I'm saying, and musicianship comes from the church. What they do vocally, what they do extemporaneously, right? Mm-hmm. And then just like getting on the stage and like I feel like, so I'm gonna go kind of meta here, right? Like once again, like when people from my era stopped caring about the culture and started going for the money, we stopped checking these kids when they wasn't doing culture shit.
Yep.
Right? And so now these kids think it's okay to do that shit. Like, nah, man. Like, and like, it's
everything is okay as long as you get in a bag.
Right. And that's that capitalistic bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like I said, it's up to us. So my students perform, and I was like, and they want to be up here. I was on the song with them. I was like, bro, we not rapping over vocals. We're gonna rehearse this shit as many times as we can, so y'all can learn y'all bars.
Put in the work.
Yeah. And like I was telling my partner yesterday, my barber yesterday, like, when did black people stop wanting to be good? When you a basketball player, right?
Right.
How many jumpers you shot in your day?
You got to put in the work.
How many suicides you did in your day? How many? You know what I'm saying? Like how many push-ups? How many times you had to? How many 90 and 1 drills you had to do?
That's it. Yeah. Got to put in the work. Same thing for MC. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to hit the weight room.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So like we all of us play ball or sports at some point, and now we don't want to fucking practice. We don't want to be great, and like that's a problem to me. Like so we want to dumb down our greatness, so in hopes that this white man will come from the sky, give us some bread. And really, he's just gonna exploit it.
Word, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So I just feel like, man, look, that's a part of keeping the culture alive, man. Like, cause you gotta think about it, man. Like, if we go by August 11, 1973, being the birth of hip hop, right? And then if we go by the first recorded rap, wasn't until Sugar Hill Gang in 1979. That means 6 years of motherfuckers rapping, where nothing recorded. So when they rapping live, it's their voice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do we go from that? You know, like, let's get back to that shit. Let's get back to goddamn 1975, where it wasn't even no shit to rap over, but the beat, but the break beat.
That's how beatboxing comes into the culture as well. Beatboxing. Sometimes we ain't even have, you know what I'm saying, an instrumental. We just got to get.
You know what I'm saying? So like, absolutely. So let's get back to that cultural shit. You know what I mean? Like that, and man, and like I said, teach it to the kids. And like, you know, if you teach them young, like I grew up in the church, I've never rapped over vocals. Because I grew up watching my father being a gospel musician, getting on that microphone and doing his thing, right? Yeah. And so, like, if we teach these kids young, like, there's no other option, and teach them the benefit of how much more marketable it makes you, how much more entertaining it makes you, how much more valuable it makes you than everybody else, then it'll push them forward. And I was like, man, look, Fernando, when I say I do my shit everywhere I go, I don't make a big fuss about it, right? Like, people, like, it's been so many artists who come up to me and was like, yo, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to until I heard about you. Well, I've had people come apologize to me. my bad, dog. My bad, dog. I didn't know you was here. You know, like, they don't say it, but somebody got to stand on the culture. Like, I don't necessarily care. I don't necessarily care about looking good for the kids, man. Like y'all don't know what the hell y'all doing anyway. Like, I care about teaching you a skill and a culture and something that can change your life. That's what I care about. I don't care about looking cute to these niggas. I'm already married. You know what I mean? Like, but
no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I stand on that, man. Like, I stand on culture.
Yeah, no doubt. And we appreciate you for that, my brother. Real quick, man, there's one little thing I wanted to say about that, man. I feel like one of the reasons why, you know, people are still doing this shit, man, you know, is because, you know, first of all, when I started recording back in Cuba, man, we had to record over cassette tapes, and we really had to do our whole verse. Because if we didn't do our whole verse, we had to start from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Another thing is, like, you know, rising power to my brother, man, my oldest brother, Professor K, man. You know what I'm saying? Rising power. He's the one that taught me all these things about rap as far as, you know, techniques and shit like that. And he would never let me, even later on, he would never let me not record my entire verse. He wouldn't let me. I'd be like, yo, hold on, let me cut right here. So nah, he'd be like, nah. Record the whole verse. You don't have to do the whole song, but record the whole verse, and then you do your ad libs. Then you do, you know what I'm saying, whatever. So today I've seen kids. I've been in the studio. I've seen kids. They do like 2 words, and they record like 2 words, not even 2 bars, 2 words. Then they cut, then they record, then they cut. You know what I'm saying? So when the shit comes out, they don't know how to. They can't rap without the vocals. They don't know how to. They never done their verse. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's part of it too. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, like, because like now these kids will record a song, and the next time they say the song out loud, they perform it. Like, they're not working at this shit. Like, they're not in the mirror. Yeah. They not, you know, like, we used to freestyle on the back of the bus.
No
we
doubt.
used to freestyle in the living room. We used to, you know what I'm saying? We used to do ciphers outside. These kids are doing everything in their bedroom or what have you. Like, they don't have to fight for nothing. They ain't got, like I said, they ain't got to practice.
Right.
They don't got to practice. They don't got to put no work in. They don't spend. Look. As you see, I'm a big dude. I'm 435 pounds, right? Ain't shit in shape but my lungs. I do 45 minutes on average, no hype man. Dolo.
Damn.
Myself.
That's work.
My knees is bad, my back is bad, but damn it, I can rap. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Don't let me get back in the gym like I need to get back in the gym, right? But but I still, to this day, I put the work in. I'll spend 20 minutes a day when I ain't got nothing, just running over songs in my head. When I'm in the shower, I put the instrumentals on and I go over them. I still do that to this day.
No doubt. I hear you.
Know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you know, I'll get with my DJ and we'll jam for a couple hours, just going through songs and trying new stuff or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like nobody wants to work to be good, and you wonder why ain't nobody good.
No doubt. Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Yo, let's get to your latest project real quick, man. Cause like I said, I listened to it and it was dope, really dope, man. I hear the references, the Ruba being was hot, you know what I'm saying? Very important reference I hear on there. You know what I'm saying? I heard Minister Server doing the intro. That was dope, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's culturally packed, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a short but really dope project and very important. So like I said, I encourage the listeners to definitely check it out, man. But talk to me a little bit about, you said at the beginning, you talked a little bit about the inspiration. You did the first part more so like, showing out basically. And this one, you wanted to bring some of that black radical politics into it, man. But yeah, expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, man, like I said, man, like hip hop is black. Hip hop is Pan-African. Mm-hmm. And so like, it's only 4 records. So I wanted to talk about like more culture. I'm saying like when I perform in this, even in the crowd full of white folks, they're thinking like more like give me more. I'm like, no, black. That's what I mean by it, right? And you know what I'm saying? I'm a product of black colleges of Pan-African politics. You know what I'm saying? Black business owner, but I'm rocking with the communists and socialists. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily lay out my politics per se, but that's for a longer project.
Yeah, of course.
On principles and standards, I'm talking about similar to like my standards as it pertains to hip hop.
Yeah.
But also saying how does our plays in the white supremacy like dictating to what we hear and what rappers do. You know what I'm saying? On Negroes with Guns Part 2, like everybody has a Stop Police Brutality song. Who's going to make a Defend Our People song? Word. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I just like you are, man, I'm an absolute student of Jared Ball and everybody over Black Power Media. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt, man. That's why I seen you first, man. I saw your interview and I definitely checked out your music and you know what I'm saying? I reached out for sure, man. So shout out to Black Power Media as well.
Shout out to BPM and everybody over there, man. Yeah. But I learned about the Ruba Ben Wahad, started watching his interviews. I watched a documentary of him or whatever, and learned more about the BLA. And of course, I was already fairly familiar with the Black Panther Party, but like even I got the Black Liberation Army Handbook, which was mostly written by the Ruba. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to pass it on to the homies.
No
you know
doubt.
what I mean? Whatever. But just and then just to flip on the KRS-One line, which is crazy because KRS-One literally just did a freestyle for the mayor of New York. Who what's his name? Eric something.
Man, I couldn't believe it, man. I seen that.
All my favorite rappers, man. Killer Mike, all my favorite rappers, Ice Cube. Like, come on, man. Damn,
man. What's going on, man? What's going on?
Capitalism is a motherfucker, boy.
But KRS, man. KRS, come on, man.
Man, but it's like, you know what, man? It's been really sad to watch pop go further and further right over the last decade.
Yeah,
it's going further and further right. And it's as our favorite rappers from when we were like younger, as they get older and their music ain't selling, they got to find a way to get their bag.
I got high hopes on that new Dead Press. They say they working. I got high hopes, brother. I hope they not. You know.
I have a Dead Press story for you in just a second. But they didn't ghetto, man. So big shout out to Principles and Standards, man. One of the best rappers in Tulsa, one of the best rappers in Oklahoma. First verse, he dropped an incredible verse, and I was like, he's done a lot in the state, but I was happy to have him to expose him to artists outside Oklahoma, to expose him to other people, right? And then the last song I got is Ghetto, man. It's just like, that proletariat talk. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a proletariat. I am the people. I am not the pig. So it's that proletariat talk. And I got my mentors, man. I guess one of the first real Pan-African rappers I knew personally, Truth University. He's born in Trinidad, raised in New Orleans. He is the guide MC for Louisiana. He's the one who put me on. Like, I would not be here. He was my mentor as a conscious, pro-Black Pan-African MC in Louisiana in the era of Cash Money and bounce music and No Limit. He was that. And so anytime I get a verse from him is a blessing. And I got the legendary Wordsworth from the Lyricist Lounge. You know what I'm saying? On the same record.
No doubt.
On the same record.
Yeah.
And we talking that proletariat talk, you know what I'm saying? So like, and then big shout out to Minister Server, man. Like, so on For the Culture, I had a clip of Buckshot talking about the culture. But I was like, man, I want somebody that I know. And so last summer when I was on tour, Minister Server came to my show in Atlanta. And I was like, I need you, man. So he laid that verse. And so with that said, going back to the BPM connection, I got a record I'm working on called H-Rap Black. And and it is inspired by A-Trap Brown,
yeah, A-Trap,
Jamil El-Amin, you know what I'm saying, who was from Baton Rouge, where I lived for 20 years.
Okay,
right?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And so it's yeah. And so I'm gonna drop the record soon, and I'm gonna donate proceeds to his case to get him freed, as well as other political prisoners. Oh, shout out to Ruchell McGee coming home soon.
No doubt.
But Kalonji from Black Power Media and the FTP movement, he's gonna be on the intro of that record. And then Kalonji got me on a festival in Virginia next month, opening for motherfucking Dead Prez.
I wanted to mention that. Yeah, that's dope. I want to mention that because I seen that on your IG, man. So congrats, brother. That's dope. And
so like it all came full circle, man. And so it's truly a blessing, man. Like bro, when I was doing conscious hip hop, pro black hip hop at Baton Rouge, people told me never was gonna take me nowhere. I should stop doing that shit. Nobody cares. You can't do that in the South. And like I take pride in sticking to my guns as an MC, as a rapper, to my politics. Like, I have a story that can easily be exploited that talks about, I have a lumpy proletariat past in my rearview, right? And I could tell that story and accept being exploited if I wanted to. But I chose to stick to my spiritual situation, my political situation, my values, and I'm blessed to see how far hip hop has taken me, my politics have taken me, right? Like if I did not have hip hop, I wouldn't have these politics. If I didn't have these politics, I wouldn't have hip hop. So it's always gonna be connected to me.
That's it.
Like what I do as a teacher, right? Like I look at teaching as an MC. I have to take this information that these kids might not understand, and I have to put it in a word where they understand it. So it's the same thing when I'm writing the rap, when I'm writing the curriculum. No doubt, right, and my politics all through that. You feel me? So so it's been a blessing, man. And I'm really happy about it, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt, and I salute you for all that, man. Before we get out of here, man, I want to do two things real quick. Let's talk real quick. I want to ask you, 50 years of hip hop, man. What does this mean? Where do we want to see hip hop next, man? You know what I'm saying? How do we want to see this evolve, man? And after that, real quick, I'm going to ask you for a book recommendation if you have one, my brother, before we get out of here, man.
Cool. I look at August, so this might be blasphemous to say, but I look at August 11, 1973, the same way I look at Christmas, right? Okay. Like, Christmas is not Jesus' birthday, but I still don't go to work and I still give gifts, right? Like, everything that happened in hip-hop was already going. It might have just came together that particular day. But I still celebrate it as that day, right? I still celebrate it as that day. I'm kind of disappointed because I don't see young people talking about it, right? I'm very excited about the shit. I'm actually doing a show in Tulsa called Happy Birthday to Her to celebrate the hip hop's 50th. Like, I'm a backpacker. I love it. I love the energy. I get high off of the shit, right? Like, I think that's what's kept me hungry, because that feeling, right? Yeah. So I guess in the next 50 years, man. In the next 50 years, I want my grandchildren or great-grandchildren to be experiencing the culture in real time, to where they're not having to listen to old school stuff. They're getting the feeling that they feel in real time, right? I want to see, as we move forward, I want to see other stuff besides just emceeing being highlighted. I want to see, I guess, more of a historically accurate portrayal of it, or what have you. But most importantly, I want to see the underground more represented, or what have you. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer with this question, but like, if we don't step our shit up, we ain't gonna make it to 100.
That's it.
Like, we just not. Because they're taking the culture and they use it as a weapon against us. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, and that's why I'm gonna keep pushing it. I'm gonna fight till ain't no more lungs, ain't no more breath in my lungs. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I love it, and I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. I can't wait to celebrate. I'm going all out. We're gonna have birthday cake and everything for the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we going all out, man. It's special, man. It's been cool to see, like, the old school legacy acts from like '85 start getting gigs. You know what I'm saying? Or like it's been cool to watch these different tours and I'm happy that they're including Southern acts now. So like it's been really cool to watch.
No doubt, man. And this podcast drops August 10th, man. So it's right there for hip hop, man. So, but listen, one thing, man, that, the Ruba Ben Wahad talks about a lot, man, is, we got to get our youth to be in touch with their Black radical history, man. You know what I'm saying? That's important. And that kind of ties into everything we're talking about, man. Our youth got to be in touch with the Black radical history because, yo, if we don't have that, then we don't know where we're going next, man. We don't know where we're going. Garvey talked about that. You know what I'm saying?
Just speak to what you're saying. I'm sorry to cut you off, but speak to what you're saying, right? And so my last big album that I dropped in 2019, In Search of the Black Messiah, it is based off when J. Edgar Hoover said, one of the purposes of COINTELPRO is to separate the young black male to the revolution, right? And so like the whole premise, I mean, it helps to prevent the next Black Messiah, right? Exactly. And so that's the whole premise of the album. And you talk about Yoruba, and I know one of the questions that I forgot to answer was, what book do you recommend to others? I'm reading the Black Liberation Army book. That's what I'm doing, right? Okay. So I'm learning these techniques. I'm learning these things. I'm learning these philosophies. I'm learning the way they political definitions, and I'm putting it in my music when I'm talking to, and I'm running it with my partners. I'm trying to run it in that way when I'm talking with my little young boy. You feel me? I'm trying to put that. So if I was to recommend any book, I would say right now. Of course, you can't go wrong with the autobiography of Malcolm X, right? That's your gateway drug, right? But that work is really, man. Yeah. I was reading the Anarchist Handbook as well. Okay. I'm not necessarily into fiction. I'm really into like biographies and autobiographies and things of that nature, or whatever. But yeah, man, like those are really good books to start.
No doubt. Appreciate that, man. Marcel P. Black, I appreciate your time, man. Everything, man. We hope to have you back on the podcast at some point, man, because we really had a dope conversation, man. And keep building. You know what I'm saying? Keep building.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
No doubt. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. And good luck for everything you got going on. We're going to be following you. You know what I'm saying? And the audience, make sure you check out the description and see what my brother Marcel P. Black got going on. We're going to have his socials down there, website, everything. So everybody can check it out.
Freedom.
Peace. All right. Marcel P. Black. We appreciate the brother coming through the Vital Hoops podcast. I hope everybody enjoyed this little 3-part series, celebrating 50 years of hip hop, but it is more than just a celebration. If you heard all 3 episodes, you know that this is serious. This is about our culture and our ancestors and about pushing something that's real and that's for us and for the advancement of our people. You know what I mean? So please support not just the Vital Hoops podcast by subscribing, liking, commenting, all of that. No matter what platform you're checking this out on, please. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, all of that. But also support the artist. You know what I'm saying? I hope you got to listen to Elo Kush. I hope you got to listen to some of the music that Pablo Herrera produced. And I hope you got to, or you were going to get to listen to some of, Marcel P. Black. You know what I'm saying? And what he does. Because this is important. All this music, all this keeps the culture alive. It's not just always about, I'm not saying don't listen to mainstream music. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying a lot of times these underground artists are even better than a lot of these mainstream artists. And they do this with a purpose, and they do it from the heart, from the soul. And that's what the culture is about. And since this is part 3 of the 3-part series, since this is the last episode of the 3, and throughout all 3 episodes, we have kind of been mentioning my crew, my hip hop crew, 340 MS. I'm gonna leave in the description. I'm also gonna leave a little link, you know what I mean, to 340 MS. So if you're interested, you can check out who we are, what we do a little bit, you know what I'm saying, back in Cuba. So I appreciate you listening to the Vital Hoops podcast. You can hit us up at vitalhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on social media and go to vitalhoops.net. We here. We're going to keep rocking. 50 years of hip hop. Vital Hoops is for the culture. Peace.